The movie opens with Gwen Stacy recapping her past experience while she's jamming out on the drums with her friends.
Bitten by a radioactive spider, and he's not the only one. I didn't want to hurt him.
In addition to her multiverse and meeting Miles Morales, Gwen back to when she and her Peter Parker were best friends, even close to Gwen's family, including her father Captain George Stacy. Sadly, Peter took a serum that turned him into the Lizard, and Gwen fought and tried to stop him. However, Scene ended up dead him during their school dance. When her and Peter's last movement, George comes and he believed Spider-Girl was a killer and put issue to manhunt for her. Gwen misses Miles and has never felt more alone. After a visit and chat with her dad, Gwen hears police jabber and follows her father to a crime location where the Vulture is going after.
I got a job to do, Gwen.
It won't bring him back.
I want to argue about this.
Guggenheim Museum. Suspect
this could be it.
4920 on scene. We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Got the stadium 5 out.
Gwen notices that this Vulture is not her own, as he comes from a Renaissance-era universe. Gwen attempts to subdue the villain, but is overpowered.
You're not my Vulture. Where are you from, bud?
I am an artist.
A gateway opens, and Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man from 2099, jumps out. Despite his own set of skills and powers,
My name is Miguel O'Hara.
he has to ask his virtual assistant Lila to call for backup due Vulture is make more damage and unable to control it. In enters pregnant superhero Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. Together, the three manage to bring Vulture down.
Call for backup.
What?
Call.
Spider-Woman.
Enough of this.
Jess is intrigued with Gwen's abilities and proposes to Miguel that she join their group. But Miguel disagrees. George then enters and tries to arrest Gwen, forcing her to reveal her identity to him. Even after she tries to explain herself, George still tries to arrest her. Miguel traps George and gives Gwen a wrist device that allows her to travel between universes. Gwen checks out at her father one final time prior to joining Miguel and Jess.
Join the club.
In Miles's universe, Earth 1610, he is attempting to keep up with his life and his life as Spider-Man.
I'm sure he's gonna be here any minute.
While his parents Jefferson and Rio are in a meeting with his guidance counselor, Miles enters a bodega where he finds a supervillain called the Spot trying to steal from the ATM with the portals that his body generates.
Pin number.
No, sir.
Alchemist. I used to work there.
Why do people say ATM machine?
Spider-Man. I am the Spot. Oh, that's funny to you?
Of course not. Uh-oh. Well, this has been... Let's do this one last time.
You can hurt somebody.
The supervillain so I can catch you.
Miles pursues Spot, who ends up being interesting to get until Miles figures out how to tangle him up through his entrances so he can meet with his parents.
I got you right where I...
Take that away from me.
Unbelievable. Back to your nemesis.
Yo, what's up, man?
During the meeting, his parents are upset when new Miles has missed 6 Spanish classes, resulting in him getting a B grade.
Miles' interest in...
How's this going? I know. Look, I gotta get back.
Miles's grades are pretty good.
After his uncle.
A- in English. A in AP Physics. B in Spanish.
What? Woo! Tú estás tomando una clase en español.
I just missed a few classes.
Oh,
5?
5?
When that happened, Miles then sees that Spot has escaped, forcing him to cut the meeting short and run. Jefferson is also called upon to catch the criminal, leaving Rio alone. Miles follows Spot to Alchemax, where he claims to Miles is where his hatred for him began. Jefferson shows up and becomes involved with the confusion until Miles figures out how to wreck Spot. He clarifies for Miles that he used to be Dr. Jonathan Owen, a scientist at the Alchemax facility that he and Peter B. Parker robbed. He was the person that Miles threw a bagel at, and after the spider people destroyed the collider, his body was infused with particles that caused his skin to turn white and produce portals. He charges towards Miles, but he ends up literally kicking his own butt through his last portal.
I am your
Where'd he go?
He kicked his own butt.
Afterwards, Miles, still in his Spidey suit, talks with Jefferson, trying to convince him to let his son spread his wings.
His son. How's he doing?
And I hate that he's not being honest with me.
You gotta let him spread his wings, man.
Spot ends up in a void between universes, surrounded by portals. He attempts to go through them and winds up in various universes, even including a Lego universe, and one where he meets Mrs. Chen, in character from the Venom movies. Spot figures out how to get back to his universe and decides he needs to absorb more energy from colliders in Alchemax facilities across different dimensions in order to bring Miles down. Next movie shows a party is held for Jefferson's impending advancement to rank of captain of the police force, but Miles is late because he is picking up a cake. On his way, he has to stop crime, which makes him be all the more late and miss Jefferson's toast.
Okay. You, Rio, for that.
Kid.
In the streets. See, but it's my job to look out for you. They're making me captain, bro. And to my son. Benny man, come on, drop the beat.
Hey, congrats.
Gotta keep going. I have no.
I don't know why. I've just been here the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
When he finally does arrive, Jefferson and Rio scold Miles, leading to a loud argument where Miles wants to tell his parents his secret identity, but he knows he can't do it there. Miles returns to his room where Gwen shows up in a gateway to visit him. He is glad to see her and, further, she sees his drawing book and is confirmed by how much times he's attracted her his notebook. She invites him to go out with her, even though his parents grounded him.
You grew, huh? Had a little growth spurt?
Yeah, fine.
Are these... Wow, there's so...
Thought I'd never see you again.
You too.
So... I mean,
Miles puts on his Spidey suit and joins Gwen in swinging around the city. They stop at a skyscraper to hang upside down, and while Gwen appears to acknowledge Miles's feelings for her, she reminds him that in every other universe where Gwen Stacy falls in love with Spider-Man, things don't end well for either of them.
so... things are supposed to be just for us. What?
In every other universe, Gwen Stacy falls for Spider-Man. It doesn't end well.
Wow. She looks old enough to vote.
They return to the party, where Jefferson and Rio meet Gwen but still have their suspicions about her. After Gwen needs to leave because of Spidey-related business, Rio has a candid conversation with Miles about how he's growing up and for him to deal with himself, while likewise reassuring him to pursue Gwen. Miles goes invisible and follows Gwen to a crime location where Spot has been. Gwen replays the occasions utilizing a gadget that shows her that Spot put himself inside a collider to give him more entries.
Show me what happened.
God, it was right under where my nose. A little more concentrated dark energy. Spider. And Spider-Man. All right, this is gonna work.
Gwen is contacted by Jess, as she had been assigned to the task of finding the multiversal anomaly, and Miles hears Jess advise Gwen to disregard him. Jess also tracks Spot's newest location down to a different Earth in a city called Mumbatan.
He's making his own portals. Every dimension he stops at has an Alchemax.
got him. Earth 5101.
You got an hour to fix this. Alert the local spider. Tell him Gwen will meet him.
I'm up.
Gwen goes through the portal, and Miles follows her after a brief hesitation. Miles enters Mumbatan and comes in similarly as Gwen is pursuing Spot. Since Miles doesn't have the universe-hopping gadget, he messes up and can't help. The two are joined by Paviter Prabhakar, Spider-Man India, who brings his own skill set to the fight. He gives his own, "let's do this one last time," intro like the other spider people have.
Hey, Pav. He's Miles, and...
My name is Pavitra Prabhakar. I hang out with my girlfriend, Gayatri. Hello, Police Inspector Singh. This is your daughter.
Uncovering he is a normal secondary school understudy who is dating his beauty queen Gayatri, daughter of Inspector Singh, who is not fond of Paviter. They pursue Spot to the Mumbatan Alchemax, where he begins to meld with that building's collider. Miles attempts to utilize his powers to ingest the force field, keeping them down, only for them to be met by Hobie Brown, Spider-Punk, a rule-breaking rocker who uses his power to break the force field. Miles has some jealousy toward Hobie because Gwen is said to have crashed in his dimension a few times.
Alright, my name's Obi Brown.
Obi? Look at that, another one. I love how many different variations live up to our potential.
This guy is killing me. We'll finally have a villain worth fighting.
Despite their combined efforts, they fail to stop Spot from fusing with the collider, giving him more entries and making the lab begin to crash. Miles likewise seems to see a dream of his dad going to save a youngster, to which Spot says that this vision is their future. The four spider people run outside to save residents from the falling building. They get everyone off the bridge and attempt to prevent the trash from causing a lot of harm. Paviter webs a bus that Gayatri is on, while her father is attempting to save a little girl on a bridge.
Inspector Singh! I got him. I'll be okay, I promise.
Miles starts to pursue Singh, despite Gwen trying to stop him. He manages to prevent Singh's death while Paviter saves Gayatri. The citizens cheer the spider people on before a portal opens up in the city and begins to absorb parts of this universe.
Is everything going to be okay?
Jess shows up with her own group to fix things while let Miles know that he is needed at their base camp.
Secure the area, clear all civilians.
I'm invited to HQ?
Woo!
Miles joins the others as they arrive at the central command of the Spider Society, which features hundreds of Spideys from hundreds of universes, including Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, Web-Slinger, Margot Kess, Spider-Bite, Spectacular Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man, a Spider-Cat, and a Spider T-Rex. Jess gives Miles a wristband that he can use so he won't glitch. Miles is shown other things like the villains captured across the multiverse, which includes a version of Prowler, Donald Glover in a live-action cameo.
Go home, machine.
What did I say?
My name is Miguel O'Hara, but I'm not like the others.
I'm really excited to get going. And I'm
great.
So fresh. Whoa! What did I do?
Miguel!
What's happening?
Hey, Miguel! He had a terrible teacher.
Peter!
Peter?
Oh boy,
Miles!
Dude!
Miles is also rejoined with Peter B., who acquaints him and Gwen with his little girl Mayday, that he had with Mary Jane. While on, Miles is brought to meet Miguel, who runs the Spider Society. He is furious with Miles because he prevented a canon event from happening. In each universe with a spider person, a police captain should pass on in the line of duty, and in most cases, it's a variant of Captain Stacy. Miles saving Inspector Singh was not supposed to happen, and Miles understands that this means his dad is also in danger. Miguel explains that tampering with canon events can lead to devastating consequences. He jumped to a universe where one of his variants died, so he expected such Miguel's reality and his family. This led to an anomaly where many people were erased from this universe, including Miguel's daughter.
How do you know?
Because I broke it once myself. You break enough canon, save enough captains, and we could lose everything.
My dad is about to be captain.
When Miles argues that they can't just allow his father to die, the other spider people seem to have already known that this had to happen. He is confronted by the other spider people before Miguel places him in a trap. Miles then uses his powers to break through the trap and escape, prompting Miguel to send every last spider person after him.
All station doing and stop Spider-Man. Yo, Miles Morales, he's entering Sector 4.
There's nowhere to run.
Send everyone.
Miles runs and swings through the facility, fighting off every spider person that comes his way.
Know where you're going!
I have a plan.
Departing for the moon.
That's not good.
They make it to a train where Miguel tries to go after Miles himself, leading to a fight where Miguel tells Miles that he was never supposed to be Spider-Man since the spider that bit him wasn't even from his universe.
Miguel! You're not supposed to be Spider-Man!
I'm Spider-Man.
He also blames Miles for his Peter dying and for the universe where the spider came from not having a Spider-Man. Gwen and Peter B appear to have known about this, which hurts Miles even more since he figures that's why they never went to visit him.
I guess he did plan this out.
Miles then reveals he had planned all along to draw out the spider people away from the tower before using his electric powers to get Miguel off of him and jumping off the train. Miles gets back to HQ where Margot's avatar is still there. Miles begins to activate a machine that will send him back to his home universe. Miguel and the other spider people show up, however, Margot able to Miles to go home. Miguel then punishes Gwen for helping Miles and removes her gadget prior to sending her back to her aspect dimension.
We're supposed to be the good guys.
He then gathers Jess and Ben to go after Miles. Gwen winds up back in her old room, where George is still staying alone. She finds a picture of herself with Miles and almost leaves before George wakes up and finds her. Gwen expresses her anger toward him for blaming her for her Peter's death, and George says he quit the Force after Gwen left. They reconcile, and George gives her a device that was left behind for her by Hobie. She gives her dad a hug before jumping to Miles's universe.
Did you check your locations?
Yes, Dad.
No sign of him.
Miles goes to his apartment and is found by Rio.
Miles?
He chooses to tell the truth and uncover himself as Spider-Man, only for Rio to ask who Spider-Man is.
Mom,
What do you want to tell me?
I'm not afraid of anything. I'm Spider-Man.
Who's Spider-Man?
At the point when Gwen goes to Miles' room, she tracks down that he's not there. Miles then, at that point, finds that his uncle Aaron Davis is alive, meaning he was shipped off some unacceptable different universe, specifically Earth 42, the universe where the spider that bit him came from. Gwen also realizes the same before she is spotted by Jefferson and Rio. Even though they still don't trust her, she promises to find Miles. Meanwhile, Miles joins Aaron on a job, where he sees a mural revealing that Jefferson is already dead in this universe. Moments later, a figure dressed as Prowler shows up to knock Miles out. Miles awakens in Aaron's apartment, but he's tied to a punching bag. At the point when Miles attempts to discuss his Prowler story from his universe, Aaron says he's not the Prowler.
I know you don't want to be the Prowler.
I'm not.
The real Prowler shows up and reveals himself to be the Miles from this universe. Before Prowler Miles can do anything else, our Miles appears to be gearing up his electricity on the chains holding him down.
I'm Miles Morales. You can call me the Prowler.
With all that, in Miles' universe, Spot shows up and plans to pursue Jefferson. The meantime, Gwen forms her own team of spider people, which includes not only Peter B. and Mayday, Hobie, Paviter, and Margot, but also the return of Spider Noir, Spider Ham, and Penny Parker. The team then heads off to rescue Miles. That's the end of the movie, and however text shows up as "to be continued."